So we're going to roast some chickens, but before we roast them, we got to prep them. Now, you've seen our washing a chicken video, probably. You've seen how to brine one. I always recommend brining chickens, but you do need to do a couple of things before you roast them. You could certainly bring them home from the store, take them out of the package, and roast them straight up. But it's better if you put a little time in it ahead of time. So these have been brined overnight. If you want to see how to do that, check out our brining video. And now we're going to season them and let them air dry in the fridge. Now, for air drying, I happen to really like these vertical roasters, and I have a couple of different kinds here. And these can cost as little as a couple of bucks or as much as $20 or $30. You can see mine are well used. They're a little gamey looking, but that doesn't matter because they're perfectly safe and perfectly clean. But when you put the chickens on these roasters, they can air dry around all sides and all the moisture will drip off. Why do you care about that? Because it'll help give you a crispier skin and better flavor and better browning on the skin. Now, there's a couple of ways to season up these chickens. Now, one way is simply by using dry seasonings. And you can make a dry seasoning rub using any seasonings you like. I use a mixture of a little bit of salt. If you've brined them, don't use the salt. This is for if you haven't brined them, okay, because there's plenty of salt in them. Some of my poultry seasoning. These are all my blends, and the recipes are all available on the website. My all-purpose seasoning. And my seasoned pepper. I'm using about a tablespoon of each just to make a very simple dry rub. Again, if you brine them, don't use the salt part. You don't need it because the salt is already in the chicken. So I mix this up really nicely. And take my chicken here. Now the reason I'm mixing this up in a separate bowl is so that I get my chickeny hands into it. I'm not contaminating the rest of the spices. Well, you have your chicken here. Take these little fat pockets out. Okay, you save those for stock. They go into a little Ziploc bag. Okay, also giblets, right? You have the neck, you have the gizzard, and in some of them you sometimes get a small piece of liver. Save that. The liver goes into one bag, all the other giblets go into the other bag with your fat and trimmings for stock. Here's your chicken. Season it really well on all sides. Try not to get all of it on your cutting board, but the chicken is the part you're eating. Nice color here. All four sides and inside and inside the top. Okay. You can rub it in. It makes a horrible sound when you do that, but you can. Make sure all surfaces are well covered. Could use a little more. Okay. And then onto the vertical roaster. Even if you're not going to cook it on the vertical roaster, I like letting it dry on that roaster. Here's a little drip pan and onto a tray. Another way you can do this is to take that same seasoning blend. I'm going to add a little more. These blends are salt, pepper, paprika, onion, garlic in various proportions. Not going to add any more salt this time. Make your mix with some olive oil in a large mixing bowl. Maybe a quarter to a half a cup of olive oil. Whisk it up really well. And then give your chicken a little bath and a massage. Get it covered on all sides. Rub it in really well. Your hands get horribly messy. And then make sure you get a good handful of this and rub it inside the neck cavity and inside the body. You want it flavored on all sides. And then one more time onto the vertical roaster. If you can get it to go without hanging up on you. What's it hung up on? There we go. On a tray and into the freezer for a day, refrigerator, overnight or two. Okay, a day or two in the fridge so the skin gets nice and dry, crispy, lovely. Come back in a day or two. We're going to roast these up a couple of different ways. You're going to love them.